Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of Majority Caucus. We are live from our studios here from Accra Multi TV. We are live on your Joy News channel. This is Majority Caucus, and my name is Ali Dawood, your host for tonight's show. For tonight, we'll be looking at, in fact, we'll attempt to look at the fallout from the vetting earlier today. I'm sure most of you watched it. Those who couldn't, listen on your various radio stations. And then also, finally, we would attempt to look at some developmental issues in Cape Coast, because tonight I have been joined in by some powerful people from the Cape Coast part of Ghana. And so we'll be looking at developmental issues as a result of the Better Ghana agenda in Cape Coast. And also there's a latest twist to the court case regarding the MPP's attempt to challenge the 2012 general elections results, indicating, amongst many other things, that the court should enjoin both parties to sign a declaration that, come what may, they will all be, they would all agree that the decision of the Supreme Court is binding. I think that this is a superfluous argument, because really, by law, the decisions of the court, especially the Supreme Court of the land, is binding, whether you agree or not. You don't need to sign a special declaration. And so we would be looking at that also. So tonight I have been joined in by Mr. Eric Arthur, who is a member of the communication team in Cape Coast. He's also the former VIP of Tain at UCC. And then also in the studio I have Mr. Ike Afeni Donko. He is an executive member of the Cape Coast North constituency, and he also holds many other positions, but for the purpose of tonight's discussion, we will just limit it to that. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here.
Thank you very much.
Let me pick your thoughts quickly on today's performance by the Black Stars. Everybody is happy, even though some critics say, oh, this wasn't the best performance.
Well, first of all, let me say a very good evening to your listeners, and also wish everybody well. Today, the Black Stars,
viewers, you mean?
Yeah, obviously did, very well. You know, when you look at the last match that they played with the Congolese, the DR Congolese, you realize that most of the expectations were high. People were expecting much from them in terms of how they were going to, come out victorious. But obviously, they couldn't achieve that. And so today being another day for them, they had to go for the kill. And I was really happy with respect to the way they had to sort of like come out with a victory for Ghana. What it means is that in our next match, we need to, do well and make sure that we top the group.
Okay.
Possibly, I want us to meet either South Africa or the host nation, so that at least we can, we can just kick them out.
It will be a cheap one.
Yeah, of course, it will be a cheap one, looking at the way they are playing. But I have always had a problem with the skipper of the side, Asamoah. But today he did very well, and I believe very well that in the next competitions he will try and improve. He needs to score a goal, because he's the striker of the side.
Yes. All eyes on him.
All eyes on him. And if we cannot see anything like that from him now, then I believe very well that there is something that the coach has to do in order to make sure that he gets a goal for us. So basically, they did very well, and I'm really impressed. Currently, we are on top of the group.
Indeed.
I believe very well that the DR Congolese will draw their match today, and then maybe we can just, go ahead for
easy passage.
Yeah, easy passage.
But Asamoah, he caused the penalty today. Am I right? Was it the one who caused the penalty?
It was Ajiman Bedu.
Ajiman Bedu rather caused the penalty. Yeah. I see. But the comment from the camp is that he's been very motivating, despite his inability to score goal. Your thought about Black Stars?
Yeah, okay, let me also first of all, greet our viewers, especially those of them in the central region, because today happens to be the first time that we come into this place, and that we ought to take the opportunity to thank Multi TV for giving us the opportunity to be here. My greetings also goes to the Honorable Central Regional Minister, Mrs. Sama Benyuado.
Okay.
For the Black Stars, I think that that has been my team, apart from Ebusua Dwarfs.
Okay.
Black Star has been my team, and then I have always wished that they score. You know, they win games for the country, because it is a team that we have all come to love. It's quite unfortunate that nowadays they are not, you know, living up to expectation. But I believe strongly that the coach has a lot of work to do. In fact, we didn't know, we were told that due to 1 or 2 issues, he had to drop the day IU. And that might have also contributed to probably the low performance, because I believe that if the guy had been in, it would have been better, because we know how powerful he is when it comes to the left wing. But we starts May, we didn't go with him, and then we have those that we have now. But I think that the first match, the problem that we had was to pull that our left, what's his name?
Is it? Are we talking about?
No, the number 10. Number 10, Asamoah. They're pulling him back to the defense also caused a problem, because
the first match,
we have always known him to be a midfielder. So when he was pulled, it affected the team. And I think that today they managed to do something better. So I think that in our next subsequent matches, we will do. Trash.
I'm sure we'll find another day where we'll discuss sports on a political platform. But Eric, today you witnessed the vetting. I need to know from you whether or not you share the view that most Ghanaians have expressed, that after all, we didn't need the minority to do a diligent and a very respectable work, and that kudos to the members of parliament within the NDC, that they did excellent job. The questions they were asking, you might think they're actually from the opposing camp. Is it a view you share?
Well, yeah, I think I share in that view. When you look at the vetting today, I believe very well that the NDC majority in parliament, they did very well with respect to the questions that they came out with, especially when you look at Baba Jama's question, which was posed to the finance minister designate. And I believe very well that some of these things, we need to look at it again with respect to the way the minority has decided to boycott the parliamentary or the appointment proceedings or the parliamentary vetting proceedings. Be that it may, it wouldn't take anything away from them, or that is from the majority, if they should still continue vetting. But you see, the most important thing is that Ghanaians will have to ask the political or the politicians questions, especially with the NPP, because I believe very well that if you are to represent, or you've been voted to represent a constituency, one of the things that you need to do is to make sure that when you are put into an appointment committee, or when you become part of an appointment committee, you honor that obligation. And so if you go and listen to your party executives and you object to whatever decision that the whole house will come out with, I believe it's quite unfortunate. The argument has always been that sometimes even their presence over there, do not really cause any change, or do not really affect anything, because whatever they are going to say, the person designated is going to pass through the vetting, irrespective of the various.
But how about the argument that then the minority would be applauded, that after all they exposed the inefficiency and if you, for want of a better word, inabilities of the nominee, even though the majority will always have their way. By the end of the day, Ghanaians have seen it, they've heard it, that they have contributed their quota. Well,
and that is the more reason why they had to sort of go, so that they could bring that opinion. I was listening to the deputy majority leader on I think SPM Express on your program, and even though they don't want to go, he was raising some very legitimate questions. Some of the questions that he thinks if they had been there, they would have posed those questions to the various minister designates. So it means that their contribution over there is going to affect the whole discussion and probably improve the quality of parliamentary proceedings. As I said, you made mention of the fact that it will still make, even if they come out with their various opinions, it will still enhance the democracy that we have, and that is why we expected them to be there to at least, raise or to make that thing come to pass. But obviously, if they are not going, Ghana will still move ahead.
Let's,
Ghana.
let's look at. Sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
Somebody like Honorable Hannah Tete.
Yeah.
She is a member of Parliament, and so the argument has been regarding her performance today, that because she knows the ins and outs of parliamentary operations, she was able to, as it were, discharge herself creditably. Is that a position you think is consistent with what you saw?
Yeah, even though I never watched Hannah Tete live, I knew very well that she was going to perform. When she was a minister, she did very well, and that is even the more reason why she was even given this appointment. And you believe we can attest to the fact that when she became a trade minister, she went for another vetting. She went for vetting. She did creditably well. And so we expected that going for this vetting, she's going to perform. So if she had performed in that regard, to me, it doesn't come as a surprise.
Okay, let me take a quick commercial break. When I come back, Eric Carter will finish, and then we will look at other matters regarding the fallout from today's vetting. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus live on your multi-TV. Before the break, we were looking at the fallout from today's vetting. Eric, quickly, you summing up.
As I said, I wasn't really surprised when she did, very well. But one thing that I want to put across is very simple. When you look at the MPP's argument that for them, because they think that John Mahama's, legitimacy cannot really be vouched for, and so they will not come for the vetting. I think it's quite, a shallow argument, because as of now, the Supreme Court has not given any verdict. And so, it still holds that John Mahama is a legitimate president, and he still rules, and everything that he does needs to be respected. And so, if you are saying that because you think he is an illegitimate person, you are not going to go for a vetting that he has nominated ministers to, he has nominated ministers in that angle, that is quite unfortunate, because in any case, even if the Supreme Court's decision comes that John Mahama is a legitimate person, these ministers would have, passed through the vetting successfully. You get it? And so the argument there cannot,
So you think it's an act of double standard?
It's an act of double standard that they need to come again. And looking at even the other arguments about they not even going for this Buem and then Nakachi by elections, boycotting everything, of which one of their own founding members has raised objections to. They need to come back again.
Well, there's a statement today by the Young Patriot. They claim that Roku is not a member of the MPP, and that he should shut up.
We are not surprised. We are not surprised. It's the nature of the NPP.
Okay.
And so if
I'll come back to you, so we'll finish that. But Mr. Ike Afeni, let's move to Cape Coast proper, because we are running out of time. I have witnessed that a lot of developmental projects have gone in there, despite criticisms from the MPP. Of course, you should expect that. But I need you to point out to my viewers, because, for instance, I'm aware of, the MP's project. I'm talking about Abu Batino Drew. Cape Coast North, am I right?
Yes.
Good. That he is doing excellently well. Perhaps you could shed some light on that.
Yes, let me say that the late president, Prof. Mills, promised those of us in the central region that he was going to use SEDICOM to be the development agenda of the region, and he fulfilled that promise. SEDICOM was initially given an amount to go into projects.
You explain what SEDICOM is?
Yes, SEDICOM is Central Regional Development Commission. It is a commission that the NDC once started, but it nearly got collapsed when the MPP came, because they almost sold all their vehicles. And when we came, we tried pumping money into it. I must say that SEDICOM has done quite well. The Honorable Central Regional Minister, that is Antiama Benyado, happens to be the chairperson for SEDICOM. And they have done a lot of work in the central region. Work at Swedru, that is Swedru Government Hospital. We have been able to put up buildings there for Swedru Government Hospital, that is theater, and we have also given them quarters as well. There was this storm that happened in Swedru, that flood
Okay.
Unfortunately, got their stadium collapsed. SEDCOM had to intervene to make sure that they rebuild the stadium. They also have been able to put up a lot of good drinkable that is water for various communities. As I speak now, I know they have put up about 57 boreholes for needy, communities, and then they have also gone into, fish processing. So SEDCOM has done a lot of work in the central region. When it comes to schools, I must say that when we have only one school that bears the name of Cape Coast, that's Ogwa Secondary Technical.
Okay.
That school, had only one building. And the case that the students there were always crying because they were not even having a taxi. When we came, the students came, they approached the regional minister, and then we put up a strategy. As I speak now, they have boys dormitory, they have girls dormitory, they have more than 21 unique classroom blocks. And we have provided them with bus. As for schools, I must say that Cape Coast has really benefited. Okay. We still have only 2 estates in Cape Coast. Whoever knows Cape Coast know that we have Ola Estate and then the Adesade Estate. Those there were struggling with dust. NDC one tried, doing something about the road, and then the party was kicked out of government. The road remained there until we came. As I speak now, the 2 estates have been tied completely. And so I also know that we had this Cape Coast, we only have one educational center, that is CNC, Center for National Culture. And the distance from the town to CNC was quite enormous. You have to pass through a hectic time before you get to CNC because of transportation problems. When we came, we knew that we had Cape Coast Town Hall. That is in the middle of Cape Coast. Within the era of the 8th year of the NPP, they gave it to 3 contractors. They couldn't finish. But when we came, within a year, Samuko managed to put up, refurbish and rehabilitate Cape Coast Town Hall. As I speak now, go and look at the town hall that we have. Through the instrumentality of the late president, the Cape Coast School of, that is medical school, approached him. They wanted him to put something down at Cape Coast Central Regional Hospital. That is Central Regional Hospital in Tabeti, popularly known Tabeti. They approached him because they had to come to either Accra or Kumasi for their practicals. So when they approached him, the late president assured them that he was going to do something about it. As I speak now, go and look at the diagnosis center we have in Cape Coast, that is Tabeti. We have lecture theaters put up for the School of Medical Science, and the hospital has been upgraded to a medical, that is a teaching hospital.
Okay.
You understand that? So we have.
So they don't have to trek all the way to Accra.
No, not at all. So we have really benefited. Let me say that we have never ever, but you see, the problem has to do with the thinking of some people.
Indeed.
They are still saying that they haven't seen anything. Yes, if you want to be blind, you will not see. It's when we came.
I remember one of those ads.
When we came, we had a problem. Before the NDC, came to power, the NPP had already promised that they're going to give people of Cape Coast a stadium. We know that 2008, brought about some stadia in the country.
Yes.
Before you get to Takrady, you have to pass through Cape Coast. Before you get to Takrady, they managed to pass through Cape Coast and provided
for Takrady.
And we were told by the minister,
Coast.
that is Atuata, that when the Chinese finish with that of Takrady, they will bring their equipment to Cape Coast to construct our stadium.
Why not start with Cape Coast and
before they get into Takrady? But you see, what the Chinese finished with Esipos Stadium, they went. They didn't come. Unfortunately, we were told that they had given the contract to some Poland company. We went through the system. We realized that they actually started something, but it was in a hurry. So they could not even finish with the contract. They could not even complete with the Chinese company to come and then build. We were given 2 months to do the grants preparation. That's January, February, and they are coming in March to start with the project. Kotokraba market has been an issue all along. That has been the problem that we are facing now. But you see, God being so good, it has started, and we believe strongly that we are going to
the almighty Kotokraba
yeah, the almighty Kotokraba. It just started, and we're going to make sure that we finish with it. You see, let me end by saying that
quickly.
We had, you see, a lot of criminal activities going on at Kotokraba. Okay. And the Cape Coast Mayor, Honorable Akins, Ejiri Akins, realized that our mothers and fathers who were marketing, they were having problems.
Just hold on there. Let me take a quick commercial break. When I come back, Afeni Donko would continue with his submission. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. And this is Majority Caucus. Just in case you just tune in, we've been discussing developmental issues in Cape Coast under the NDC Better Ghana agenda. Afeni, you were rounding up.
Yes, as I was saying, the mayor of Cape Coast realized that our mothers and fathers who were marketing at Kotokraba were being harassed by armed robbers and other pickpocketers. So he had to quickly do something about it. And as I speak now, they have been provided with a police station. So you can just imagine the fantastic things that are going on in the region.
Absolutely.
You see, let me say that quickly that I went to Holy Child, to do one or two things there, and Nanado had his poster free senior hall there, and the kids were even laughing because when they were there, they were not even able to provide them with classroom blocks. And we have
so
been
they
able
know
to put
better.
up, and they know better. You understand that? So I think that those of us in the central region, and for that matter, Cape Coast, have really benefited from the Better Ghana agenda. And when you ask them what we had, they always tell you that Malam Junction to Yamunansa Road, but that doesn't even fall under Cape Coast. They have even forgotten.
I've been told there are some potholes, a lot of them on. Yeah, but Eric, your views on the achievement of the NDC and the Cape Coast?
Well, it's quite obvious. My friend has said it, but you see, when you look at Cape Coast, for instance, we have done a lot over there. We have really done a lot. I think one thing that the MP, that is the MP for Cape Coast North, started, Honorable Ebo Batinodo started, of which I worked for, was this aged clinic. Now we realized that with the aged, they had problems going to the various clinics. Sometimes even when they go to the hospitals, they are not treated. So the NP conceived an idea that for us to be able to treat this aged very well, why don't we establish a clinic for them, a particular clinic for them, where they could, go and then have their necessary, care in terms of treatment and other stuff when they are not feeling well. And so that idea came to the system. And as I speak to you now, when you go to a Futu, for instance, in Cape Coast, and a new aged clinic has been established over there, and almost all the aged that we have in Cape Coast North constituency go to visit those facilities when they are in some form of when they are sick or when they are not feeling very well. And so that is a big plus for the MP over there, and that is the more reason why he also even won. When you look at the various schools around, the MP also established various science resource centers. As I speak to you now, all the various government schools over there, we have one common science resource center and science laboratory where the various government schools over there go for their science practicals. He tells you we couldn't see those things. And so the improvement over there is really, really, unprecedented with respect to facilities. We can also talk about University of Cape Coast, for instance, where I attended school. Those times, the medical students, they had to travel to Lagos. They had to travel to Konfanoki, some to have for their practicals. But as I speak to you now, a new diagnostic center has been established for them. When you even go to their place, as I speak to you now, they have a new hostel facilities that is accommodating them. And that is something that they are really, really enjoying. You also talk about Academy of Christ the King. As I speak to you now, they are where they were, it wasn't spacious, and the students over there were complaining. As I speak to you now, they were located to a new site. And the place has been established to the extent that it now depicts a perfect, modern school in that regard.
Kids are calling the school Most baby. Because he established the school for them.
Indeed.
So how
an important legacy. I'm sure if we want to go on, yes, the list is endless.
A whole lot. You can even talk about the Ola Rose, the Adisade Rose, which
let's tie this together. Let's tie all this thing together, because when we talk about the vetting, the essence of why I allow you to give the narration in terms of development, and we want to see that the vetting, the process of the vetting will reflect the interests of the ordinary Ghanaian.
such that the questions being asked, will bring out the best from the candidates. I wanted to have your views on that quickly, and then we'll look at the court case.
When we talk about the vetting, I think that what our MPs did, the majority MPs did, we need to applaud them, because we never thought that we're going to, grow their own, colleagues like that. Because it was an issue that if the MPP does not show up, it means they're going to have
rubber stamping.
Yeah, rubber stamp. And if you look at the questions that they asked, I think that it was even proper that MPP wasn't around, because I know that they were not, prepared. They haven't ever been prepared to constructively criticize people. They always want to push you and gag you. They always want a nation by rough tactics.
And false accusation.
That? You see, it happened to Honorable Fifi Kote.
Yeah, I remember.
When he was criticizing the MPP, when he was setting the record straight, they saw him to be an enemy. When he went to the vetting committee, they greeted him for more than 4 hours. He performed, but yet still they said no, they don't want to approve. They had to vote on him. So they do not have interest in making sure that the proper thing is done. Their interest is to gag people. So I am happy they weren't even around. And I believe that everybody had seen that, yes, we have quality materials in the NDC as well. We need not to get the MP before we make sure that our MPs, because after all, Anatete has been a minister, Colin Zada is a minister, Setepe, they are all ministers, and they have performed wonderfully well. So I do not see how the MPP can do something more than what the NDC has done. And I commend our people for really interrogating our own people, because if the MPP had been there, they wouldn't have been so much interested in putting up questions,
and
but rather
they may be
make sure that
to relax.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that it is.
And because all the issues are linked, the reason for which the MPP has boycotted this sitting is because they believe they have some grievances that they wanted to be addressed. The issue here is that now there's a new twist, like I announced earlier, that hey, Supreme Court judges invite all parties, NDC, MPP, EC, we would be bound by the decision, which is, I think, is needless, because already, when there is a court decision, you're supposed to be bound by it. I want to see, and before that, they went for the preliminaries, appointment committee sittings, and when it comes to substantive job, I really don't know what they are doing. Honestly, I'm at a loss. Your views?
Now, you see, with respect to the court issue, I think for now the NPP itself should realize that they are causing great harm to their party. Almost looking at December, after we elected a new president, they've been crying foul, and their argument has always been, as I said, inconsequential. First, they were trying to object to one judge who wasn't supposed to be, who they claim would be biased. And later on, when they were interrogated, or when they were asked to go and bring evidence, they came to tell Ghanaians that they had withdrew that very issue. And they, looking at even the way they had to fight against NDC's joinder, of which they lost very well, should tell them something. But you see, I was quite surprised when they even had to object to that very joinder, because you realize that the NDC, John Mahama is part of the NDC. Do you get it? John Mahama represented the NDC. It was the NDC that sponsored him. So anybody that was to affect John Mahama indirectly or directly affects the NDC.
Okay.
So if we think that we want to join in order to make sure that we support our candidates in that regard, I don't see why they should come and cry. In any case, what I believe very well that they are saying that he's an individual and he stood for the elections. But when you look at even their petition, for instance, they have Jake. And Jake wasn't directly affected by the election results.
Yes,
so even in that argument that they are making,
it's flawed.
It's very, very flawed in that regard. And that is why they lost that very case. I wouldn't sit here and prejudice or, come out with the conclusion as far as the next issues will come up with. But I think that is an issue that, is not going to lead us anywhere. They should rather cooperate and then see how we can move Ghana forward in that regard.
I think your views on that question.
Yes, you see,
in 2 minutes.
Yes, what I want to say is that the young people, you said the young people,
Yeah.
maybe might have forgotten that before we even went for the elections, both parties, all the 8 political parties, together with an independent candidate, were asked to go to Kumasi and then sign
it's a peace declaration.
Peace declaration.
The Kumasi declaration.
Yes, whoever loses will accept, whoever wins will also. You see, and Nana Akufo-Addo forgot that he had already signed that agreement, and he lost, and he didn't want to accept it. Now look at what they are saying. These people they are a bunch of funny people. You see, what you do not want to be done to you, don't do to others. You understand that? If they want anything, then they should go back and advise Nana Akufo-Addo and the MPP.
There are people within the MPP who are criticizing the MPP's attitude.
Yes,
but now the young preacher said he's not an MPP, so you should shut up.
But went for to stand as an executive member of the party, as a chairman or some national chairman. Why didn't they tell him that he wasn't part of the MPP? It is a matter of some of them thinking that Akufo-Addo is messing up everything for all of them, and that they need to tell him that no, where you are taking our party to, we do not want it to be like that. You see, that is the reason why I admire people like Apia Minka and the others, because they are mature people. They understand politics, and they know that what the MPP is doing at the court wouldn't break anything. And you know something, they are going to delay the process themselves. It isn't the NDC. Now, I was told that when they were asked to bring out names of those 4,000 over polling centers that they think that were rigged, they provided only 3 and said that we're not going to. Why don't you be bold and break the
because
other?
It's part of court policing.
I even think, my personal view is that even the NDC has, less witnesses. They should have asked for more than 10,000 witnesses, because we're looking at
on that note, I want to thank you, James, but I'm sorry that we are hard pressed for time. Thank you very much for making time to join me here. And viewers, unfortunately, we draw the curtains today's discussion on this note. I'll be here on Tuesday. Till then, stay blessed and be good. Bye-bye.